What's up? Welcome back to my little hangout. Thank you so much for making the time to hang out and spend some quality time with me. I am not drinking coffee. What I am drinking is actually green juice. So I've been trying to wear some sort of green in every video that I'm making regarding Frankenstein in honor of the creature, but I didn't have any more green in my wardrobe, so I was like, you know what, green juice, it will be, and it's good for you. Anyways, so I want to, again, there's so many things that I want to talk about when it comes to Frankenstein, and I want to just express, because this is the second time I'm actually doing this video, because I rambled too much in the first one, and I was like, dude, gotta cut that, and I was like, too much editing now, not gonna do that. So I want to just talk about that. This is something that I feel very passionate about, and I want to just continue to do little series, little hangouts where I'm able to talk about certain things, dissect them a little bit more, dive in deeper, expand on this, expand on that, and things that I really notice and I just feel like I don't hear enough of on social media or in my hangouts with people. None of that. So I just want to be able to, hey, how about you and me? We just hang out and I get to talk and express about something that I feel very passionate about. Thank you. And so I know that something that I'm currently, I guess I've overcome, is that I love spending my time with art. I don't want to ever feel rushed. I hate feeling rushed when it comes to art. And I already expressed this before, but I think that, just a little disclaimer, this, I might be talking about this for many more months. I don't even know. That might be an exaggeration. But I just feel like I don't want it to be one of those things that in my head I just think like, oh, you know what, it's irrelevant now. People already watched the movie, people moved on, people are now into the next thing. There's so many classics that are being released, like Wuthering Heights, Sense and Sensibility. There's so many things that are coming out, which is super amazing and I'm super excited about. But I also want to just sit and really dive in again with Frankenstein and give it its opportunity, and hopefully I'm able to offer some novel perspective or expand on your perspectives or your thoughts on certain things, and hopefully mine can also be expanded, and hopefully I'm able to share certain gems but also receive certain gems from our hangouts. Anyways, something that I really wanted to talk about is something that I continuously saw in Frankenstein that I don't, again, feel like people have talked about, is the different types of love. So as we know, in Greek, they had a language for different types of love. So they had the language for love for family, which is storge, and storage, not storage, but storage or something like that. I can't pronounce it. But they also have obviously romantic love, which is eros. And then they also have just general love, which is agape. And then they have friendship love or brotherly love, which is philia, which is the one that I really want to focus on and just hone in and talk about that, because I feel like you see that throughout the whole Frankenstein novel. And you don't see that so much in the movie. You see that in a very specific scene in the tale of the creature. And I think that's very beautiful. And I want to also talk about that. Philia, I think it's so beautiful because it's one of the loves that everyone can get to experience and everyone can be a part of. I can partake in that kind of love. I can be someone that has a certain friendship with certain people. And hopefully I'm able to have this philia, this love, and it's very intense and beautiful and just as romantic in a very not romantic way, obviously. And there's so many passages, excerpts in the book where it talks about friendship, love, and seeking that, especially from one of the characters that was not presented in Guillermo del Toro's version adaptation. And he's a very fundamental part of the novel, in my opinion. And so I also want to do a whole little hangout where I just get to, I guess, gush about him and what I love so much and how he expresses himself and how he's a writer. He writes letters, and I think, wow, he's a kindred. I resonate with him so much because that's something that I do, not so much as of late, but that's something that I partook in so much. So I really love that. And just talking about Philia again, the beauty and importance of it, because it's also one of those things that there's so many responsibilities. So I also want to talk about the responsibilities of what it looks like to be a good friend. And I think one of those responsibilities is, let me put this down. One of those responsibilities of what it looks like to be a really good friend is being to not overlook a really beautiful privilege that you get to have as a friend, is being close to someone, and despite all of their imperfections, despite all of the thorns, their poison ivies that they hold and make them, you're able to reassure, you're able to shower with compliments, you're able to give them and fuel or feed these seeds of beautiful things and qualities that they possess. I think that sometimes, most often than not, or whatever, however you say the saying, we are our biggest critics, And I think that we sometimes view ourselves in such a very different way than our friends do. And I think that's a very beautiful thing that we as friends can do is being able to remind our friends how amazing they are, how beautiful they are, how good they are. And I think that that's why I love so much the scene from the movie, but also the desire and the beauty and the impact that Philia has, and how that's something that's super essential in our everyday existence and our experience of life, and how we get to experience life in, I guess, a very more saturated way when we have friendship and when we're receiving that kind of love from people. And also when they keep helping us knock down certain thoughts or certain feelings about ourselves. And how sometimes there's this quote that I love by Clarice Lispector that says, who has not thought, well, I'm going to butcher this first of all because I'm not good with verbatim quotes, but it pretty much talks about who has not thought that they themselves are not a monster. And I love it so much because in the movie, he says, I am a monster. And then his friend says, you're a good person and you are my friend. And I love that so much. And I love that he says that one after the other because that says so much. I think that who you are friends with also informs you of who you are. You saying you are my friend just says, I can't even explain or express the feelings that I feel when he says that. I think that a lot of people can do a way better job. But I feel like the reason why I love that so much is because I think of certain people that have called me their friends. And I just think, wow, I'm your friend. You are so amazing. So therefore, I guess somehow by association, I'm either cool, I'm amazing, I'm wonderful, I'm not that boring to hang out, all these other things because of who you are and you calling me your friend. I think that's so cool. And I think there's so much merit in that because there's obviously people that bad association, which is a whole different thing. But when you devalue yourself, or when you don't have standards for yourself about who you're going to associate with, who you're going to have, and someone tells you, you're my friend, I think maybe that might not mean that much. But when you come with someone that's just has love, pure intentions, is good at heart, I think that means so much. And I think that I feel very thankful to be able to recall and just think of so many people in my life, past, present, and hopefully far into the future as well, that I'll have these people that are very good people and that they call me their friends and I get to call them my friends. And that's such a beautiful, treasured thing. And I feel like that's pretty much what I just wanted to talk about, that scene specifically and how important and beautiful it is, and not to devalue or to minimize the other types of love. They're just as beautiful and important, obviously. But I think Philia, because it's super accessible and it's something that we can all be and do, I think that's what also, it doesn't devalue it. I think it's something that's more shared, something that we can all relate to. And that's what makes it that much more important and beautiful. And you can do that, and I can do that, and we can be good friends. That's so important, and it's so beautiful. And I don't want to get, again, too preachy with these hangouts. I don't want to bore you to death. But I do think that that's something that's so scarce, and I think that within ourselves we got to look inward and be like, am I being a good friend? Am I fulfilling my roles or responsibilities? Am I highlighting the good qualities of my friends, those people around me, the people that I love? Am I being too critical, too judgmental? These are obviously self-evaluating questions when it comes to your friendships. And I feel like sometimes, especially guys, dudes, which is another thing that I loved. Sorry, I just love that so much because it is a guy-to-guy relationship, friendship. And I think that's something that also gets like so, it can be too, it's one of those things that gets so tricky because there is double standards and there's this and there's that, and I don't want to get too much into that. But I love the fact that he was able, obviously because of his age, because of how old he was able to pat him in his head and be like, friend. And I think that's so beautiful. But I think that the other thing that I love so much about it is because it's so innocent and it's so pure. And I feel like we get to an age where we get so, I don't want to get too crazy about it, but it just sucks. It sucks when people start to borrow certain lens that it's not how it's supposed to be at all. And there's something beautiful and wholesome and innocent and necessary, I think, for us to be able to explore that and feel that and provide that for others. And yeah, so this is just like, I guess, like a heavy hand pour of just like love in the sense of friendship, because sometimes when we think of love, we think of either just general or romantic. And I think that we're getting more and more things and images and art where it does talk about and show and display beautiful examples of love, real, true Philia love, and how we can also display that. And so that's pretty much it. I don't want to make this hangout too long. I fear that this hangout's already been too long. So that's all. Thank you.